Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening, everyone. Finance Committee and Council as a whole is reconvening at 6:01 p.m. And at this time, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll call.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilman Brian Locks is absent. Councilwoman Ann Heffernan is absent. Councilwoman Michelle Coletti is absent but arriving at a later time. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali is absent. Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan.
Councilman Edward McMillan, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan is absent. Councilwoman Catherine Tucker is absent. Councilman Christopher Vargo.
Councilman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
Councilwoman Katie Muller.
Councilwoman Katie Muller, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Councilman Nicholas Pascal, at large, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First up this evening is the Personnel Department. That is page 36 of our budgets. And Mr. Spryer, Ms. Daddio. Is that it? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Perfect. Pleasure to meet you. Welcome.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Hey guys, so this is Jen Daddio. She's our new personnel director. She's been with us for almost 4 weeks now.
Yes.
Yeah, she's new and a godsend. So she's, I just wanted to be up here with her because obviously she didn't write this budget, and any questions you guys had on the budget, I'd be happy to answer on her behalf. It's a pretty straightforward line item budget in the details, but anything you have questions on, I'd be happy to go through for you.
Rick, I think I only have 2 or 3 questions.
Okay.
The organization development specialist is being removed. Are those funds being directed somewhere else?
It was removed out of the budget. It wasn't even presented by the mayor. So they were moved elsewhere in the budget. Yes.
Okay, so that position is just not going to be in that department anymore.
It's just not in the. It was a budget cut. It's an historically unfilled position. So
Gotcha. What are the other professional services that is a $10,000 line item, 100% increase from last year?
So with the consultants that we've had to hire, we have to pay disposition fees if we want to hire them afterwards. We were taking that out of the departmental budget, but we feel it should be in personnel. We left it low because we're trying to get away from hiring temps that we brought in. We're trying to hire full-time off right away. We've only got 2 temps in the building right now. One doesn't have an interest in staying and is leaving soon, and the other we may end up hiring full-time if a position opens.
So the projected expense for that line item is almost $20,000. Comfortable that 10 is going to be okay?
Yeah, like I said, we only have 2 right now, and the goal is to not hire temporary workers. We're going to hire full-time workers now. So I think this 10,000 is a placeholder for perhaps this employee that we may bring on full-time or someone down the road, just so in case it happens. So, but yeah, I'm comfortable with that. 10,000 is a comfortable number.
Thank you. Anyone on the council have any questions? Councilman Donovan?
I just got one, Rick. I see in the regular wages, the request was $452, and we went down to $372. Did we lose a job?
That's the $80,000 organizational development specialist position was taken out of the
That's okay.
Yeah, that's 80,000. Yep.
Gotcha. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Chairman Pascal.
Thank you, Chairman. Rick, how are you?
I'm well.
Just looking at the percentages for the departments, as we saw in the other budgets, are those all contractual, even though the percentages are different?
Yeah, and it's different steps. The 681 contract had a couple of different variations to it, but yeah, these are all budgeted at top step and contractual increases.
Okay.
Yep.
Just curiously, what's the $81 about with the benefits coordinator?
It's just a percentage. If
Okay.
if it goes up to, it went up from 72.28 to 75,000. I don't know. I think that 75,000 in the FY24 may have just been a roundup.
Yeah, just put in line.
Yeah, I think because the 75081 is probably just a percentage increase off of 24, what the actual 24 contractual
I
was.
see. And the other examinations on 37, the last line, what examinations are those?
Those are drug and alcohol screening and background checks.
Okay, so with new hires, obviously
Correct.
it's going to go up.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Rick, the administrative floater. Can you tell me what departments that individual works in?
Yes. She helps currently in the personnel department. She also has been helping in the health department, filling in also if needed in just those two areas. Right now, she's also helping with a grants project just to help in assistance.
So it's just a full-time employee that fills in where needed, when needed.
Correct.
Type of
Yes.
deal. Great.
Yes.
Any other questions, Councilman McMillan?
Thank you, Chairman. Rick, I just, speaking to Chairman this evening on the administrative floater, is he or she in a union?
Yes, she's in 681.
So that, I'm just looking at the variance for fiscal year 25/24, the 10,346. So is that raise that's anticipated there?
So yeah, the 681 contract added a step, a higher
Higher step, okay.
So they had 3 steps. They added a 4th step and got rid of the first step. So instead of 1, 2, and 3, they have 2, 3, and 4. So the increase to the 4th step was why you see that increase, that higher increase from 3 to 4 in that year.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions? Councilman Pascal?
Thank you again. Jen, hi. No, these are for you. Now that you've been here for a couple weeks, I was just wondering if you had any differences that you saw in the budget, if you had any wish list things or something you'd like to change, since this is the first time you're before the council. Is there anything that you want to communicate to us or something you might need in the future that you might be talking about later on in the year?
No, at this time, I did actually look at the budget in my first weekend, and everything looks pretty sufficient to what we're going to do. I was very happy with the number with the background and drug screening to just make sure that we're going to stay within budget with that based on the hires that we're going to potentially have through the end of the year. So I'm actually good right now. Thank you for asking.
All right. Terrific. Yes, absolutely. Sure. Thank you.
Rick, I know that this budget was prepared, I think, before the council approved a number of the hires and before the mayor hired all those other folks. I want to make sure that nobody that was recently hired or that we approved for hiring is going to be in this department that's not in this budget. Are they going to be allocated elsewhere?
Sorry, I lost you. I
apologize. Sorry, the positions that the council created in the last couple of weeks and the new hires that the mayor has actually performed. None of those positions, this budget predates when those actions happen. So I want to make sure that none of those positions should be in this department and are not reflected in this budget.
No, none of those positions.
Those are in other budgets.
Yes.
Okay. And we're set with those?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Johnson?
Thank you, Chairman. So for either of you, I just want to double check the overtime anticipation. So to what Councilman Varga was saying with new positions and so on and so forth, I don't see it being a concern. I just want to hear it from you two that the $6,000 is more than enough. There's not going to be anything crazy that we should anticipate, and we should be okay with that.
Yeah, that's.
I just want to cover our keisters because I know there's been a lot of overtime. Okay, perfect. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
And I guess just follow up to that, just want to make sure that the other examinations and any other costs associated with onboarding because of the number of new hires were
everything's
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Councilman Locks, I know you just joined us. We're on personnel. Did you have any questions? Personnel. Personnel. No questions. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, welcome to West Haven. Thank you for coming before us. Looking forward to working with you, and we will be in recess until 6:30.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
you.
Okay, we are reconvening at 6:30, and up next is Department of Elderly Services. That is page 88 of our budget. And Alyssa Maddern? Maddern, sorry.
It's okay.
I got it right the first time.
You did.
And then I messed it up.
It's all good. Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa Maddern, and I'm the Director of Elderly Services. I've been there for 2 years and 8 months, but who's counting? I am obviously 82 in my soul, and I've been having fun every day since I started. Within my budget, I have a few different things going on. Not sure where you want me to start, though. So
Start at the top. Wherever you want.
Top. All right. Well, first and foremost, the regular wages. I did propose for a little bit of an increase, only just because within my department, I would like to increase in our staffing as well as the wages involved. And I understand that doing this, I also have to look at the responsibilities involved with all the positions. And I've been really trying to grasp all different comps within all the other cities and neighboring towns that we have of West Haven. And it's warranted because the roles and responsibilities, I can just do so much as a recreational therapist, as a director. A social worker would be very, very, very great within our department. I know that the health department just got theirs, also named Alyssa, and she's been really wonderful. However, I know she's going to get bombarded with a lot of work. So I was trying to think a little bit more realistically, and that's why I thought to have a social worker within our department. Going forward, I also have a few goals besides just the wages. I would like to change the department to go from elderly service to senior services. I know it doesn't seem like a huge change, but to the seniors in West Haven, it's a bigger change than anything before. The word elderly makes you think, oh, I'm old and decrepit. That's not at all what we are. I'm 55 years young and up, and we have a fun time. And so that's why that name change is really something I'm sticking to it. Also, I am looking forward to requesting in for my senior center. It's a software management program. Currently, we use a Microsoft 365 apps like every other department does. However, this is specific to senior centers. I can send everybody the link if you'd like to see more information about it. And a lot of the other senior centers have this platform and they swear by it. They can collect a lot of data, meaning we can get ourselves a little bit more in the 21st century, and as well as getting us a little bit more proving like, oh, this works in this kind of population, this working at this time, and it's just a little bit easier with my invoices that I do for my instructors. Along with my instructors and a lot of the other budget lines, there are an increase. However, the instructors I have are activities that I currently cannot do, meaning I'm doing all these different evidence-based research activities that are really great for the person's overall well-being and quality of life. For example, I have one instructor right now who's doing Tai Chi, Qigong, and Reiki for us. I have someone who's doing knitting, crocheting, and beading, but her group is the needlers as well as the busy beaders. I have someone who's been with us for 35 years as our watercolor instructor. I have someone who's going to be starting his oil painting group. I have a cardio drumming group, as well as a gentle flow yoga that's starting. Besides that, I do a lot of chair exercises. I do namaste in my seat. We like good puns here. We like great puns. So those are just what I have been doing and continue to do. I also am looking at the transportation contract because I would like to propose different options than what we currently have with our transportation contract. Elderly nutrition, we actually did have to get 2 new fridges at the senior center because they were pretty much broken. Health department has repeated offense to them, so we said we have to make sense to it in our last budget, and we got 2 new fridges, one for the department and one for the actual kitchen itself. But this, for the new upcoming requested budget, I'm looking for more of a stipend, so we use LifeBridge Community Services, who also does our Meals on Wheels program, and asking money to go to that cafe manager who comes Monday through Friday, is in charge of getting all the form number 5s done, as well as making sure people are coming for their lunch that they have reserved. Also supplies within those parameters. And a few more things. So other operating supplies, general office supplies, we constantly are trying to improve on what we have. So when people come in, they literally go to a binder, they sign their name, check the time right here at the clock. When they leave, they do the same thing. Additionally, the software license, like I had mentioned previously, is my senior center. I was quoted $3,600 for that. I've been working with the CEO of the company, and he is honoring that quote that he had given me. He gave me that quote last year, and as of this past February, he's still honoring that. And it is a sponsor model, which means when nobody's using that touchscreen to sign in, there's going to be all different advertisements of local places, and that's how the costs are so much lower.
What was that amount?
3,600.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's what I got going right now. Additionally, I would like to just show off of what we've been doing. So the Department of Elderly Services at the West Haven Senior Center had originally received $640,000 within the ARPA funding. However, that $640,000 has now turned over to State of Connecticut bonding as $740,000. The department also received $107,000, and that was from the ARPA Senior Center funding within the Department of Aging and Disability Services in the state of Connecticut. So every senior center received an allotment of money, and that money we have to decide where it goes to. I'm looking towards the transportation because of how much we do for our transportation and trying to make it make sense. Additionally, we continue to improve on our recreational programming based off the suggestions, comments, and just feedback from those we serve every day. Additionally, we have received a lot of outreach from local rehab centers, home care agencies, as well as increased our presentations, discussion groups, and seminars, which we call our happenings happening every month. Also, we have Donna's Destinations, which is our out trips that we do. And with our out trips, we have both longer out trips and short trips. Short trips meaning they're just a day, and it's only up to 10 people per those trips. Besides that, majority of our trips right now are either completely sold out or on a wait list. We actually increased a few of our trips from the regular coach bus to a 52 passenger because there's been so much of a desire to go out finally. We also have been spreading the good word about our out trips. We are now working with the City of New Haven, the Town of East Haven, Town of Hamden, and also the Whitney Center of Hamden. So many people just want to go on trips. They want to just have fun for the day. But a lot of people don't want to drive. We get it. So we don't try to make any special treatment with that. Rather, we say, of course, you're more than welcome to come. And they get their guidelines, and they have to send the money over to us, which is the West Haven Senior Trip account. That is in our Bank of America account that I finally just got A-OK as administrator compared to the previous director. So there's that. And yeah, we've had a lot of different parties going on, meaning our special luncheons, like a Halloween themed, our Merry and Bright luncheon. And we have some more down the pipeline for Mother's Day, Father's Day, end of summer luau. A lot of fun stuff. Last but not least, I have been working with the mayor to try to get the Commission on Aging back into service. It was in our charter since 1970 or 1974, I believe. And I've asked about it, and I'm finally getting some movement in there. So things are working, and that's what we got.
Thank you for that excellent presentation.
Awesome.
That's very informative. Before I go any further, does anybody have any questions for Alyssa? Councilman Pascal?
I just didn't want you to ask the first questions. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Just really, since Chris has all the questions, on the software package, does that include training on it, or are you already familiar with that?
So it will include a training on it, but it's throughout the day, and they'll do it over like a Zoom call.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more conducive to our schedule. Then they're like, oh, we can come this day and that day. No.
And did that CEO tell you what the package went up to if he's holding that?
He did not. He just said there are going to be increases.
Right, just like everything else in the world
Correct.
these days.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Donovan?
Maybe I'll ask the ones he wants to ask.
Usually do.
Hi, Les. How are you?
Hello.
So I see here you're requesting the senior services recreational programmer, and so and the mayor's not recommending that because it seems like they're putting that with the outreach and activity coordinator. Is that correct?
So when I had my meeting with the mayor and with the finance director, I clearly said this was copied and pasted wrong. So it actually is supposed to read Director of Senior Services, Senior Services Program Coordinator. The new one would be Senior Services Social Worker. I had also requested for Senior Services Recreational Program Aide. And then my Senior Services Office Coordinator, which is currently there. So the one I'm looking at is the social worker.
Can you repeat that
I
a little bit more
can.
slowly?
All right. So we have me, Director.
Yep.
Then we have the Senior Services Program Coordinator.
So the director of unfortunately, this is what it's named. The Director of Elderly Services. That is correct and should be in there?
Yes. Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Director of Elderly Services, the top item. That's
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Program coordinator. That's correct?
Correct.
The next one is office coordinator.
That's correct.
That's
That's
correct.
already, yep.
Then senior services recreational program something.
That was supposed to say Senior Services Recreational Program Aide.
E?
Aide,
Oh, aid.
but there is an E at the end. Yes.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
And then outreach and activity coordinator as well.
That's supposed to be Senior Services Social Worker.
All right, so and you've discussed this with the mayor, but the
Yeah.
mayor has seems like said
It's
no.
more of the social worker that I'm looking at right now.
Right, but she's according to this budget I got. I'm assuming everybody got it.
Mhm.
The senior services recreational program aid is not there no more.
Correct.
So the budget that you have in front of you is what the mayor's recommending right now. If
Yep.
there's a change to be made in this title, we'll update you with that change that we also would request. The difference, you see the 48,895
Yep.
was what the senior services recreational program aide was to have made. That position was eliminated, and this 70,367 outreach and activity coordinator was added. So you'll see that the difference on the line item detail in salaries between request and department is that 48,895.
Right. That part I see. But it seems like we're missing the senior services social worker in this budget.
So, yes and no. It was just copied wrong within the budget paperwork because I have it what I submitted. And it was not copied
What would
correctly.
the pay be for that senior services social worker then?
For the social worker, it would be 70,367.
Same as the senior services recreational program aid?
No. So the recreational program aid would be the 48,000. They were flip-flopped hard.
So those are supposed to be flip-flopped.
Yeah.
That's making a little more sense.
Mhm.
So then basically, the mayor's recommendation is to eliminate the program aid?
Yes. I requested for both, but unfortunately at this time, yes.
And that's what that difference is down here for the
Correct.
regular wages.
Mhm.
Okay. And the transportation, I know you were talking about the transportation.
Yep.
You're asking for 215, mayor saying 165, and yeah, this is probably for either one.
That's due to the cost sharing agreement we have with the housing authority.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna add then. All right, good.
And that is
You're
some-
okay with all that?
Yes, because I'm trying to do something different. I'm looking at different options actually for that. So we currently are in contract with DATCO Transportation. The costs are very high, and unfortunately, their contract has expired. So we are looking for different options that we can do within our city. I have a few different options in mind at this time, but I still kind of have to review it with everybody to see if it's even feasible and possible.
The social worker
Mhm.
is, you already have one, right?
I do not.
You don't.
But the city
you're
does, the health
looking-
department has one currently
Right, but you're looking for specifically one
for senior services.
located at
Yes.
senior housing, okay?
Not senior housing.
At the, not the senior housing, at the senior center.
Correct.
And then, is that job up for bid, out for,
Not at this moment.
not at
No.
this moment, because you're waiting to see if
Correct.
we pass that, which I actually think, and only because my dad just passed, so having a senior social worker to me is a key.
Agreed. So I don't want to cut you off here. So I took the job, and it was there's all these different possibilities within the job, and therapeutic rec was one of them. However, the previous director before me was the social worker within the city for over 35 years. And I knew filling that realm was really big, but I knew how I can outreach, and I've been able to make a lot of connections within the city. But I agree, a social worker is very, very necessary.
Yeah, no, 100%. So overall, outside of the outreach coordinator or the senior services program aide,
Mhm.
are you okay with the budget, the mayor's recommendation?
Otherwise, I am okay. Yes.
And you'd be able to function with no problems, or like we asked the police if they had a wish list.
Yeah.
and think of a wish list, really, with not today.
Yes.
obviously, unless you have one already on hand. Let us know, and then
Mhm.
we'll deal with that on different type of money packs. But
Yeah.
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 That's it. Thank you.
Of course.
Alyssa, what was your vision with if you were able to obtain an aide and the social worker? Can you just give us a broad idea of what your vision was in requesting those two different positions?
So with the recreational program aid, so I do a majority of the actual recreational programming there. I kind of want to have the opportunity to do more work inside my office, meaning I want to look more at grants that I can write up, as well as doing some of the activities still, but also giving a chance to give the opportunity for different exposure of different activities, meaning I could just do so much with my repertoire, and I know all these new graduates are really, really, they have so much more information than I could believe, and a lot of different programming, so maybe more of a dedicated cards group, for example. I don't know a lot of card games, I'll be honest, but there's also what kind of card games, maybe we can do some VR, all these different opportunities, and they all could be really purposeful for that person's life. For a social worker, they can do a lot of social services, clearly, but really they can help out with getting case management. They can get services in regards to assistance with the applying for all these different funding opportunities, as well as their like housing needs and the renter's rebate, those kind of lines, as well as signing up for like SNAP benefits and a lot of things that unfortunately I don't have the experience with, and I'm a little embarrassed to say that. And I just know that they have a little bit more of a repertoire with the social work aspect. I would not.
Well, number one, don't be embarrassed, because a good leader surrounds themselves with people that know how to do the work and they have the good judgment. So don't be embarrassed by that.
Okay.
You probably answered this with Councilman Donovan, but just so that I understand, on the budget, the ask for the aid was $70,367, and the coordinator was $48,895. That is reversed. So what was meant to happen is the aid was going to be $48,895. The coordinator was going to be $70,367.
Correct.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. The $4,500 for the software license, I understand that the vendor is offering the discount. Do you still need the $4,500 this year for onboarding or anything else?
I would need it just in case they do up it on me.
Okay.
Because he did say he was going to honor it, but then again, How long is he going to honor that for?
Is this an annual licensing fee or a one-time fee?
This is a one-time fee, but then it is yearly. With the yearly cost, I believe it is around $2,500 ballpark.
So the initial outlay is the 4,500, 3,600, whatever that
Yeah,
number is.
3,600.
That's to get it
up and going.
Up and going.
So
And
we
then-
have all, besides, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
Besides the actual software itself, you do need the equipment. We already have the equipment. We have it ready to go. But we just don't have the software program to be going into full motion with it.
And I'm assuming that the determination was made by the mayor and probably with your input that the coordinator position right now you have a more immediate need.
Correct.
And that would be more beneficial to fill that now, and then we could look at the program aid later on.
Correct.
Okay. And do you have a sense of the census data of your programs? Like how many seniors are we providing services to? And
so technically, I should be going to everyone that's 55 and up within our city. That is a large number. However, our current membership is at 463 or 493. And it just it is going up every day. I get at least 1 or 2 new members a day. And people just come in just saying, hey, I want to have a fun time. I see your newsletter. You do a lot. Unfortunately, though, a lot of people come in thinking, oh, this is for my mom and dad. And they live with a diagnosis of maybe dementia and Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, I'm not an adult daycare. So then I have to refer people to more of an adult daycare setting. And then people realize, like, oh, I get it. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not trying to put you away. I have the places and settings and people that do want to help with this. Unfortunately, I don't have the manpower. And our senior center is for the independent adult, and it has been.
But you have the network.
Correct.
Of contacts.
Yes, big time. So we refer people to local places like Mary Wade, who has their own transportation. Milford has their respite program, which is not so much of an adult daycare, but it's still a respite program to give their loved ones rest.
And I think my final questions might be for Rick. The coordinator position, is that a union position?
Yes, 681.
Thank you. Any other questions for Alyssa? Councilwoman Muller, please.
Thank you. Besides the instructors that you pay to be there, do you have volunteers?
I'm trying to get more in volunteers.
Yeah.
The actual number of volunteers that come through, not a high amount. We do work with the Agency on Aging, and they have their senior companion program.
Right.
So we currently have 3 of their companions who come in and help. However, regular volunteers, we do not at this time.
It would be nice to have some.
Agreed.
I know I crochet, so.
Well, what are you doing? You got to come to our kneelers. It's a fun time.
And I'm a senior.
Show off. No, go off. That's awesome. So I say to everybody, I'm going to make this very clear. 55 and up is just an age.
Yeah.
You're 55 years young.
Exactly how I feel.
You're not 55 years old. Okay? So you're always welcome in our doors.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All set? Councilman Johnson and then Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. Going back to, you kind of briefly mentioned it, and then you moved on, and that's fine. So grants.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finding you're having trouble getting grants because you're just so overwhelmed doing your daily tasks?
Yes.
So this is where I can proudly say, not just for myself, but knowing the other council members as well, reach out to us, because I can tell you firsthand, having applied to different grants using our state reps. So like there was a grant I applied for, I got Charles Ferraro involved because he's my and then within 2 months he calls me and goes, hey, we got the grant. And I was like, oh my gosh. And all it took was just a letter and a recommendation. So if you need help with that, please let one of us know.
I will.
Because it does sound like you're overwhelmed a little bit, and just a little bit, and we do appreciate that. My other question is, do you see any, not that I see on any of this, but I'm just curious, do you see any possible mystery expenses down the road that concern you? I know it's on the spot, but I figured I'd ask.
I appreciate that. At this moment, I don't believe so. The one thing that is kind of giving me a little bit of a brainiac thing, it would be the transportation. I just know the costs are very much high now with any types of transportation. But that would be my one thought.
So my final question would be, I do remember having this conversation with you when I visited, when I first got on, and then it was also discussed at last year's meeting. I believe it was. Are you still hoping and praying for your own vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Of course.
Councilman Donovan?
Thank you. I got to clarify this for myself because I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. The outreach and activity coordinator should say senior service social worker,
Correct.
right?
Yes, it should. Yep.
All right. And that's something we can discuss about changing. The last thing is more of, I know there's an annual fee, right? And what I know it's minimum.
So currently it's at $15 for a West Haven resident, and it's $25 for an outside of West Haven resident. And we do have a lot of people coming from Milford, Orange. I had a few Stratford people come in because we welcome it. We don't have a waiting list like Milford does currently. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Wanted to clarify. Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I know we talked about like a wish list.
Mhm.
One of my biggest things right now is a new place,
I'm sorry?
a new location.
New location.
That's something that I would love to have. And I know it's not an overnight process, but I'm excited for what's to come within my senior center.
And I know that you've been speaking with the mayor and
Mhm.
her staff about options and
Yes.
ARPA funds and various things.
Yes.
Chairman Pascal?
Can we just ask what you're lacking at the current location as to why you need a new one?
So currently we are on one floor. We are upstairs on the Johnson Community Center. Downstairs is at the Child Development Center. I'm a proud graduate. Sorry, little humble brag. But we have to go upstairs. We have to go through an elevator. Elevator has been a little bit finicky, to say the least. And going upstairs and going downstairs, not the best idea for someone who's a little bit older. I can even say that because during my first week, I fell down the stairs. Just a few bruises, builds character. But either way, it just does not feel right. I've been to a lot of other senior centers. So Orange, for example, they're in the community center and it's a very massive location and they have a lot of space for programming. And they also work a lot within the city itself, not just seniors. Additionally, Milford has their own place, their own location, their own parking. There's Stratford, which has the Baldwin Center. And I hate to say it, they have the cream of the crop. It's really, really nice to look at. And what they have is a lot more space, a lot more parking, and I feel like a lot more attention to what they need.
Thank you.
Of
for
course.
explaining that.
No problem.
Any other questions for Alyssa? Seeing none, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming.
guys.
Thank you for everything that you do for our
Appreciate it.
seniors.
Thank you, guys.
And we will be in recess until 7 o'clock. Okay, we are reconvening at 7:01, and next up is Human Resources and Youth Services. And that is on page 86.
Yeah, come on over. Oh. Yeah.
It's like staring me in the face.
So I'll be here to answer, and Diane will help me as well. Any human resource questions? The human resources, youth and family services is kind of encompassed by human resources. So I know it's listed separately on your agenda, but youth and family services is incorporated into the human resources budget. So I don't know if Diane has a few words she'd like to say. I'm good, so whenever. Right ahead.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks everybody for the opportunity to come and talk to you tonight. Councilman Johnson, great to see you back. I hope you're feeling better. My name's Diane Dietman. I'm Youth and Family Service Director. 28 years with the city. I originally started as a recreation program coordinator back that many years ago. So I have assumed the responsibilities now as the Director of Youth and Family Services, which when I came on board, the previous director, Robert Morton, and I worked hand in hand with a lot of programming throughout the years. So it seemed like a natural fit to come into this position once Mr. Morton retired. So over the years, my understanding is that the director consulted with former Commissioner Beth Sabo with the budget, and it was primarily just the salary for human resources for the director, and that the Youth and Family Services didn't have an actual budget per se. It just came under human resources. So that's why it's all grouped together. What I'm looking to do is kind of expand upon that and look for a new position, as well as additional programming funds for our youth at risk. Since COVID, you all know that we've certainly have had some challenges with our young people and our families that need lots of support. And so that's why I've kind of asked that we increase funding for youth and family services so that we can accomplish much more. Also, it's the realm has changed over the years. There's a lot more responsibilities for youth and family services, which are also mandated by state statute now to include the Youth and Family Services, YSBs, to help out with our juvenile review board or youth review boards, or now we're going in a different realm. So it's more of a diversion type of program to keep youth, first-time offenders, out of the court system and provide positive guidance for them. So that's kind of why I'm looking to get a new position to assist me with that, because I cannot do all that. But I also write the grants to obtain funding, because the city doesn't provide funding for a lot of those programming opportunities. So other than currently my salary and then the $10,000 that we had in the budget for the Youth at Risk program, which we asked for an increase of an additional $10,000 this year. So with that, that's kind of a synopsis of what I do, and then we'll.
Any questions you guys have on salaries or line items, budget line items?
Yeah, and since I'm sitting in the center chair, I'm not going to let Councilman Donovan steal my thunder for a fifth time.
Okay.
I see that this budget is reducing the amount for Human Resource Assistant 1.
I think those were flipped. I just circled them as we were talking.
Yeah.
I think those were flip flopped. I think 62,571 was supposed to be. I'll get you
the current
and 66,890. I will get clarification.
That's what I was wondering.
I looked at it, I said, that doesn't make, we're not going to contractually lower someone's salary.
Well, that person's gonna be upset.
Yeah, that's, union's not doing a very good job
Right.
on that. So I'll get clarification on that for you. I'm sorry.
What's the marketing content specialist? I know that the mayor has spoken about improving our marketing as a city in general. Is this position going to be doing a broad marketing campaign for the city, or is it just specific?
It'll be a position that will report into the public relations info coordinator, Mike Walsh. Will mainly handle social media, a little bit of graphic design. It's small. It'll be a part-time position, so it'll be mostly a social media position.
Okay. And then, what is the difference between the admin clerk and the admin secretary / energy assistants that was removed?
That's why one of them was removed. There wasn't much of a difference.
Okay. So it's the same. So was it two positions?
Yes, it was
previously?
two positions that were pretty redundant. So we eliminated one and just kept the other.
Just kept the other. Councilman Donovan, do you have anything?
No, that was it. Wasn't even a thunder. All right. Getting back to first, let's go with Diane. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just want to say, you do a great job. Every time I say it, you do a fantastic job. You always have, even in Park and Rec. Not enough to say about how much good work you and your department has done.
Thank you, Councilman.
I think you answered one of my questions. Was that you're looking to bump it up 10 grand? 'Cause that's the at-risk youth. That's what you were doing, right? Okay, absolutely. With that, and the youth services coordinator. That is the new position you're looking at, right? That's your
Correct.
assistant.
I don't know if you received the job description for that.
No, we don't have the description, but we got the pay. I didn't
It's in your
anybody
packet.
else got a description?
Yeah, it's in the
What?
packet.
It's in the backup.
Okay.
It's in the backup.
Oh, it is in the back of it. Okay, then yes, we did. I just obviously didn't look at it. Let me say no.
I also received from Deborah Bell. She's a resident from West Haven. Yeah. Deborah Bell is also a probation officer in New Haven. Sits on our review board panel, and she sent me. It said, "Dear City Council, I, Deborah A. Bell, am a city resident as well as a JRB panel member. I am in support of this youth services coordination position for many reasons. This position would support the JRB and the community outreach and communication for the families. I'm asking that you consider funding this new position request for the youth service coordinator for the West Haven Youth and Family Services Department. Thank you. Please take my request under consideration. Deborah A. Bell, dated today, because we had a panel."
So this job is already up
No,
for
no,
June?
this is a new position.
Yeah.
That's been dormant. It's
No, I mean after
But-
that, I thought maybe it was already out.
No,
Not till July
because we
1st.
don't have any funding for it, and that's why I'm seeking funding
Gotcha.
for it. There's multiple duties that's going to be assigned. As you know, Gary, we work with our special needs family as well. We have a program in which families of children, youth, young adults with autism or developmental disabilities, some physical disabilities. They have a program which is kind of a social type of program, and we have parent support meetings monthly that will engage the families with resources, and those individuals have volunteered throughout the years to make this program very, very successful. So it's been over 20 years that this program's been in existence. So to assist them, that would be also one of the duties of the care coordinator, to help with planning activities and scheduling meetings and speakers and the like of that. So, and that would help me out so that I could do more of the reporting end of it as well, and for our grants, because like I said, everything is driven. All these types of programs are mostly driven by grants, the state, the feds, and through the judicial department, through the DCF department, through CDA department. So there's a lot of different things that we're involved in. And like I said, the city is only funding that $20,000 or $10,000 currently for me to do our at-risk youth program, which is separate from the other grant programs that I run.
You're okay with the 20 then?
Well, I'd like more. I certainly would like more
How much more?
to make.
Be realistic. Don't say million.
Gary, I would, 40,000, double it. I would think that 40,000 would be, make a good program. And I might add that we do work with the Parks and Recreation as well. Alyssa in the senior center allows us use of her facility in the evening for our meetings for our family to meet for the parent support groups or any other little special activities that may be happening. So we appreciate the cooperation from all city departments too.
Again, thank you again for all the work you do. Now, Rick, I see here we have marketing social media that's new for 50,000. Is that separate from that part-time job?
Yes. So this is for outside services. We've already, I don't really want to say who we've spoken to, but because it hasn't become public knowledge yet. But we've spoken to a couple of agencies, if you will. They're not marketing agencies, but ways of getting our message out about West Haven and the reasons that businesses and visitors and things should come to West Haven. So that 50,000 is where we were comfortable spending on marketing the city, because we've never really marketed the city before.
Okay.
We've got a lot of nice restaurants and things here that people don't know about that we want to get people down here. So people think West Haven, they think of the beach and that's it, and that's great, but there's a lot more to it. So
Listen, I totally agree. And the other new one is the veterans outreach.
Yeah, that was
get them involved.
that's a priority for this administration to to fund our veterans outreach programs, and so that's why this was added into the budget as well.
You guys are adding stuff to the budget that hits home with me, so it's good to see that. So
Good, we're glad. Thank you.
But I'm all set for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Johnstone. Thank you, Chairman. I should have asked this with senior services, but I can address that later. I'm having flashbacks of 13 years ago, my senior year of college. So have we ever, I'm noticing a trend that some of us are overworked. We're still giving it our all, and there's a lot of little things that have to get done. Have we, or are we considering maybe, and I don't know if the mayor's had this discussion with Rick or anybody else, we have University of New Haven right nearby. And I personally remember every fall while in college, and I was in the Quincy area just outside of Boston, you just had local municipalities showing up, offering internships of all kinds for all types of experience. Have we considered that? Even just for simply answering the phone.
Well, if you're in an internship, you have to have a supervisor, and they have to be credentialed. So it'd be specific. So if we had somebody that was at social work, we have a social worker.
Right.
Somebody has to have a clinical social work degree in order to supervise them. We have accessed partnerships with Southern for our counseling end, because at one point in time, Youth and Family Services had its own counseling office down at the Johnson Center. And they staffed it with part-time individuals, 3 individuals that would do per diem work. And they were licensed. They could supervise students. We don't have that anymore. When COVID hit, it put us back. We're trying to bring it back. We are making headway with Southern. We are cooperatively working with them, in which we can refer people to their clinic. We had hoped at one point in time that they could kind of be the clinic overseers and have their students do that. But then again, it's who's willing to do that, and they may have other avenues. So it's kind of a a catch-all too, that you may have somebody and you may not. And then, like I said, it all has to do with licensing and supervision. You have to have the necessary credentials. I am not a social worker.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Steve, we do access a lot of UNH interns. Health department, the mayor's office had 2 interns working for us this year. So we do leverage them where we can, but like Diane said, there's a little bit of minutia involved with it that you just can't really access it as much as you'd like to.
Gotcha. Thanks, Rick. Thank you, Chairman.
So the commissioner position is still vacant and is being
Yes,
advertised.
absolutely. Like I said, it's vacant. It's being advertised, but it hasn't reached the top of the list of priority yet. But
Yep.
it is right there, and we are working on it. The people within the department, Diane and Alyssa and Mike and all the people in personnel, they're doing a good job kind of holding the fort down while we make that our priority. So it's there. It just hasn't been filled yet.
Great, thank you for that. I do have a couple of questions about just the operational budget and the program budgets. Can you give us just a high overview of what the veteran outreach goals and what the services are going to look like?
That I don't know. I know that the mayor was working with our Veterans Council.
DISA?
Rich Desso, yes, thank you. Him and Dave Ritchie. I get the name. Sorry, Rich Desso and Dave Ritchie. I know she was working with them on programs that they would appreciate and like to see happen, but I can't give you specifics exactly. I'd be happy to get them for you though.
What's the difference between? I see that there's a band concert line item, and there's also one in the park and rec. What's the difference between the two?
Good.
The Park and Rec has a separate line item for band concerts.
I thought it did.
It might be transferred over because in the past, all the band concerts, which were our Thursday or Friday night concerts, either down at the beach or on the green.
No, it's. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's still there. It's actually for the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit off, but
So yeah, the Beth's department ran concerts. We're doing different concerts here. So we were doing the concerts at the Grove, Thursday night concerts at the Grove. The mayor's added concerts in an attempt to help more market the city and bring people down to the city. We're now doing concerts on the Green. She wants to start a couple of programs. She hasn't announced yet, so I won't announce them here. But
sure.
I can happily provide the council with.
The reason for my question is I just saw that
it's not a redundancy.
That's
no.
where I was going with that, and I just want to make sure. The youth services coordinator and the at-risk youth. So you kept mentioning, Diane, that you want to increase the ability or the services for at-risk youth through the coordinator. Is the at-risk youth line item, is that the funding source for those programs, or is that captured somewhere else?
No, the at-risk youth items, we utilize that. We also supplement it with what we receive from the Youth Violence Prevention Initiative through the Judicial Department.
Okay.
But again, those funds are limited, and we have to share it with the police department as well. So
the judicial funds are.
Yeah. So there's a portion that goes towards their outreach efforts too.
So where in your budget would the youth program be funded? Is that separately from that, which is not in your expense part, but is that the at-risk youth line item, the 20,000? Does everything come out of that general account?
That comes out of that and my grants.
Okay. And the increase requested for the client assistance, what's the difference?
So client assistance,
That's something through human resources. It's for emergency housing, moving assistance, things like that. It was
The hotels?
Yeah, it was being pulled from a different budget before, and it's just going to land in human resources or human services where it should be.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I had the good fortune of working with former Commissioner Sabo a few times with our unhoused population on the green, and I'm very familiar with that program.
correct.
On that topic, there's nothing specific in any budget that deals with the unhoused, and I realize that we don't have that the issue is not as prevalent in West Haven as it is in other communities, but we still have those folks here that need help. And I know that the client service account will make those assistance, but is there any thought of enlarging the scope of services that we could provide, or what roadblocks are you seeing with our unhoused of not getting them the services that they need that would be helpful?
Well, I think it's identifying them. They don't want to be housed as well. I think Rick Fontana has been on board. He is talking about possibly getting temporary shelters from April 1 and contracting with an organization so that we don't have to try to man the shelters ourselves, the temporary shelter or the warming centers and things like that. So I know that was something that we were going to be working on from like October 1st to April 1st or April 30th or whatever. So I know that's something in the works. So I think that some of this funding would be applied towards that.
We have money in ARPA that is still it was allocated to homeless outreach, and our relationship with the community house just didn't pan out the way we had hoped it would. We repurposed those funds still within homeless outreach, and that's what helped fund our warming centers, and that's the money we'll use to hopefully contract with maybe churches or civic organizations that have buildings. So this winter and probably the next 2 or 3 after, we can fund warming centers that can be manned by volunteers or any things of their organizations as well. So there is a plan to use. I don't know exactly how much is left. It's in the area of $300,000, and all we have to do with the ARPA funds is earmark it and encumber it by the end of this year, and we have until 26 to spend it. So if we encumber it to 2 or 3 different organizations that want to take care of our homeless outreach programs, we can do that through that money. So
On that topic, over the last 2 years, I would say one critique that I've had is when warming centers and cooling centers are available, especially to the unhoused, we haven't had them populated, and I know it's because some folks just don't want to leave where they are, and I get that, but I also believe that part of the issue is getting the word out there, because they're not on Facebook, they're not on social media, they may not have cell phones, and also transportation. Depending, if we have folks on the green and the warming center is across town, they may not have a way to get there. Are there any funds available in this budget to assist with that?
So when we opened the warming centers last year, we have a public works gentleman works in public works that works our 3 to 11 shift. We have we call it the CERT bus. It's the emergency response and tactic. It's an old shuttle bus. He was driving it around town to the known spots where the homeless congregate to see if anybody would like to come to the warming center and give them rides to the warming center. This was a quick put together program. Like, we need to offer our residents, and our unhoused residents something this winter when it's this cold. So we plan on doing a much better job of making these services aware to our unhoused population. I'm sure we can probably include the transportation somehow with our public works department if they're not busy, obviously, plowing and things like that. So.
Yeah, and I just want to make clear that my critique was actually from last year as well. So it's not just how you've handled it, but I remember there was one storm or really cold weekend, and public works was. The church across the street provides some assistance, and really nobody went. And I think that part of the reason is that the outreach to get that information out there wasn't there. So I want to make sure that there's a way for that to happen.
That's part of the plan with the ARPA money in the next few years with this for the next time is to do a better job of getting the word out. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions? Councilwoman Coletti?
Thank you. Hello. Just a quick question. Seems to be this is where all of the city's events budgets are located, aside from the but additional monies toward bands and concert and park and rec. Is that right?
Yes, this is
okay.
Beth Sable. Historically ran. She was our the one. She's been here so long. She had the most institutional knowledge. She ran our Memorial Day parade. She ran our Veterans Day services.
That makes sense.
So it was always housed in her budget historically.
I'm just curious, is it just kind of being fiscally conservative? Has it always been that way that you form a fireworks committee and have to raise the funds for the fireworks and just haven't had it in the budget?
It was the city does pay for the fireworks. We don't pay for the $20,000 worth of explosions in the air, but we pay tens and $20s and $100,000, in cleanup and overtime and everything else. So it was one of those, I think people can kick in a little bit for the fireworks. If everybody wants to see fireworks, let's all see the fireworks if we all want to see them. So, and honestly, the fireworks committee, if they don't raise $20,000. The city's not going to sit aside and say, "Oh, sorry, they didn't do a good job." These 7 people that are actually doing it didn't do a very good job. The city would step up and, do what we have to do. And we've always gotten the help of our partners at UNH and last year with New England Brewing and a bunch of different people that stepped up at the 19th hour and made sure that we have our fireworks. But yeah, no, I don't know the exact reason why it's never been put in the budget, but I would assume those are some of them.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Everyone else asked a lot of questions, so I got all of the other questions answered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilman McMillan?
Thank you, Chairman.
Councilman McMillan?
I'm sorry. Union 1103.
Correct.
Okay, so will you be are you interested in the commissioner position?
Well, that's a non-union.
Correct. I'm aware because I understand when I heard him state that it is appointed, so you're not interested in being the commissioner in that. No, I'm just asking a question. Is that something?
I could entertain it.
Because you are doing the work, correct? Basically,
I'm doing some of the work. There's
I know it's vast.
There's more facets to it.
Of course.
Because it's not only just doing these other human service type of social service type of things. It's also overseeing the health department, the recreation department, the youth and families department, which I'm currently in, and our senior department. So there's multifaceted, but plus. Maybe that's one of the reasons too why I think that we should have a second position in the department was for a transition plan.
Okay.
Because there's not if I'm not a spring chicken. I've been here 28 years.
Right.
I mean, they're at some point. I'll probably be moving towards retirement, and I believe that somebody should have the opportunity to move up. So, but certainly I could entertain the discussion.
Alrighty, that's all. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. One of the rationales that we hear from constituents of why the youth are getting into a lot of trouble is a quote-unquote lack of things to do in West Haven. Do you want to take an opportunity to just expand upon what your vision is for the youth services and how we might be able to address that?
Yeah, that's always we always get that negative rap. There's many things going on in this town for our youth. I think we have to invest in our youth.
You want to brag for a moment to let us know what those are?
So we did the past few years. We did some summer programs, which we went to the bowling alley down in Milford. We did a summer evening, so that kind of prime time that would, that maybe youth would get in, possibly in trouble, that downtime. So we engaged them. We had a good response. We provided transportation from 2 locations, from Kerrigan, a pickup there, and a pickup at Bailey. We bused them down to the Milford Bowl-O-Rama. We did a 5-week program down there. We had like 26 kids participate in that. We had supervisors that were there just making sure that they were in line. They had an awesome time. We had great feedback. We also did a futsal program, Friday night futsal program. If you don't know what futsal is, it's a soccer program in which our Latino community plays. It's a smaller court, a smaller ball, and we used the building complex over on Front Avenue. Again, that was a Friday night activity, which we figured it would be downtime. So that, again, a great response. 30-something kids registered for it. We're trying to earmark our target group is like that 9-10 age group to our late teens. And so we've been very successful with that too. So we're going to be, continue to do that. We're going to also, and like I said, thanks to Park Rec, because they have the means to do the registration for us, and then I just kind of facilitate it with them, find the individuals to supervise it, and we've gotten marvelous feedback. We've also run what we call Westie VIP events. They're one-day pop-up, one-night pop-ups after school in the evening. We're going to try to do one when the kids get out. The last day is the 10th of June. We're going to try to maybe run one on the 11th or 12th. We're still talking whether we'll do it during the day or we'll do it in the evening again, possibly in the evening so that people could get to the location. But what it is an interactive type of trailer that we bring in that has video games, a remote control car racing track. We have a photo booth. We have a crazy cone game or laser tag. So we've been doing all these things, and we've been doing them also during the school breaks. We just recently got a great rate at Urban Air for 70 participants came out for that. So and then we don't charge. We just a nominal kind of cost associated with it. And then just recently, prior to the break, we had our glow night, which everything was glow. We had a 9-course mini golf course. Everything was glowing. We had jump ropes and hula hoops and glow-in-the-dark dodgeballs and basketballs and cornhole, and we had a game that's volleyball, but it's like 4 square, but you have to hit the the ball through the quadrants, and that was all lit up, and the kids went wild with that. So again, we had like 60 people that participated, and then the parents even showed up and wanted to play. So
Thank you for that, because I think it's important that folks understand, exactly what the city is offering for these kids.
right, and then it's not just youth and family services. Our park rec, we have so many opportunities.
That was actually going to be one of my questions. I assume, maybe I shouldn't assume, but do you coordinate and partner with Park Rec, or are there opportunities to do that more?
So there's both, so we do, like these specific events, we do partner with Park Rec, but then they also have their own activities, their camps, their karate clubs, their basketball leagues, their after-school program, there's swimming and, lifeguarding courses for kids. There's guitar lessons. So there's a lot of leisure programs too that are available for our youth. And again, I'm happy to provide scholarships for people as well. So if they're unable to afford, which a lot of our families, that's critical, right? You don't have that extra cash to go to Urban Air, but maybe you could afford $10 to go to Urban Air for the 2.5 hour time frame, as opposed to paying $60 to go to Urban Air. So again, I'd be willing to assist with anything like that. And then
I'm sure it depends on what the program or activity is, but what does your attendance usually look like? Do you have a ballpark?
So it's actually activity driven, so based on either space at indoor space, or if it's an outdoor, it's basically unlimited. But we kind of cap it off at a 70 rate. Our indoor rates have to be at least 50, 60, somewhere around there.
Is there a fee for the participants?
There's a nominal fee, just because if we offer it for free, nobody will show up. So if you have a little skin in the game, you'll participate. The most we charged was $15 for the Urban Air. That's the most.
And the remaining costs will come out of the at-risk youth line item.
Right. We would supplement that.
And your I assume your goal is to maintain the programs that you have now, maybe enlarge how many folks you could take, but also increase what's being offered.
Correct.
More diversity of what you could offer.
Correct.
Thank you. Councilwoman Coletti, and then Councilman McMillan.
Oh, sorry, Matt. Thank you. To follow up on Councilman Vargo's point, Councilwoman Tucker also brought up a great point the other day in terms of maybe a concentrated spring break series for that time period, so that there's something maybe happening every day, especially at the beginning of the spring break. Is that something that you have in place? And that's part one. And then part two, is there kind of an advanced or annual calendar somewhere online of the events, or is it just kind of week by week or a couple weeks in advance?
So, yes, we do have programs during spring break.
Okay.
Monday is the Urban Air. Then we had through Park Rec had hikes. We also discussed the possibility of doing 3-on-3 basketball, but there were some dynamics that we had to work out with that. So we're hoping that maybe that might be something we could do when the kids are out of school during the day.
And as it relates to the budget, in terms of your wish list of the $40,000 number, is that something that might be considered if you had additional funding? Would be to do more programming for teens, maybe during that time frame?
Yeah, during those specific downtime for those kids. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, to keep them engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, was there an annual calendar on that?
No, there's not an annual calendar. Okay. What we do is we promote through Park Rec.
Okay.
I don't have any software for that. Park Rec does. They have a whole registration website, and so that's why I partner with them, because they can get the word out. They have an e-blast that they can go out. They can put it on their website.
I see it all the time on social media.
Okay.
Like. Saw the glow night. It's great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman McMillan?
Thank you, Chairman. Hi again. So I just wanted to ask you regarding the marketing content specialist, could he or she possibly list all these events that you're referencing on social media? Because I do know that a lot of people are in the Carrick, the 5th District, 6th District, normally won't see a lot of the events that are or don't have access or what have you. So I'm just wondering, is that something we could probably put online, Facebook?
So that's the plan. I didn't realize, just how granular like Facebook advertising things can be, until my 15-year-old son told me exactly how it worked. But you can drill down, and it's very cheap to do. You can drill down. I'd like this advertisement to hit 18 to 20 or 16 to 18-year-olds within 10 miles of West Haven.
Right.
So that's what this marketing content specialist. We're looking for someone who knows how to do things like that as well.
Okay, because I'm just thinking more so like, again,
In our marketing budget too, that $50,000, we'll
Correct.
use that to help supplement this kind of work as well.
okay, so things that you're possibly doing for the summer as it relates to some of these activities, will anything go out, maybe notices with the students as they leave in June for upcoming events?
Yeah. So I do reach out to their PR person, Michael.
Okay.
And ask him to, whenever we have these types of events, I ask him to put that on their social media, and he does. So
Okay.
So
I
it
was
is
just-
through the school systems. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that me?
Those two are too close.
Okay, so something does go home with all those students to.
Yeah, it gets out to the students, and
Okay.
plus Michael will put it on our city notes as well. We do a lot of flyers.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
So the information does get out in that
The
regards.
information
too.
is dispersed, so
Yeah,
when
yes.
I hear, oh, there's nothing for these students to do, I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, it sounds like there's a lot to do. It's just taking advantage of those opportunities when they're afforded.
Correct. And like I said, I don't have any means to personally in my
Correct.
department to get that information out. Park Rec is awesome with sending their e-blasts out, and I guess one of the programmers is on the social media too and gets it out on the social media as well.
I wonder, is there any way we can be attached, like the council? Because if I had to make copies and disperse it to just so people can't say they're not aware or they're not knowledgeable of what's going on. There's tons of things going on. You just have to be looking.
Email me, say what's going on. I'll email.
Gotcha. I absolutely will. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, like
You're
I
welcome.
said, it's on the city notes too. So there's different things.
Hitting on Councilman McMillan's point about flyers and whatnot, I see that your outside printing services went down. You actually zeroed it out.
I can't
Yeah,
answer
there
to
was-
that.
There was zero spending on it last year. It was all done internally. There wasn't a ton. It's not. We didn't have to go out and have professional printing done. It was flyers done like you would see and hanging up in the hallway here. So
So the city can absorb.
The
that
city
in
absorbed-
its,
the city absorbed that.
general
Mhm.
expenditures. Okay.
the administrative floater that we were speaking about in the personnel department.
Yep.
Handled most of those jobs.
Great. Thank you. Councilman Johnstone and then Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. So, random question. Have we ever, it's becoming more and more popular, and I know because I'm in it for work. So, I had to grin. I know some of the council members saw when you mentioned futsal, because I've coached it. So, I work for Ole Soccer in Fairfield. We have contracts with multiple municipalities in Weston, Monroe, Fairfield. We do Premier, we do clinics, we do all that. The reason I'm bringing this up is, have we ever reached out to organizations as such? Like, I know there's that new one on the post road. I think it's called The Grind. They specialize in your softball and baseball services. Have we ever reached out to organizations as such to provide advertising clinics? And here's what I mean. I've done them myself with Olay, and I will be, I kind of have that inner Jesus voice in my ear telling me, I'll be offering my services to you, and I will find a way to get Olay down here to do a free soccer clinic for you. So my question is, have we ever tried to reach out to those organizations where they have their insurance umbrellas, they have these professional coaching staffs where they want to get out and into the community and put on these free clinics? I can tell you myself, I've done it in Bridgeport numerous times because we're in Fairfield County. Have we ever explored that avenue? I mean, especially if it's no cost to us, you could still charge your $10, $15, and now it's a little bit of a revenue for you.
Well, the revenue will go to Park Rec.
Exactly. So
or the city. It'll
right.
go to the city.
Don't say general fund. So have we ever explored that?
So,
or has no one ever offered?
We have, in the past, speaking on the Park Rec side, they have approached us in Park Rec with a fee. It wasn't, a freebie. So
okay.
So they would come in and run a sports camp with all different types of sports for a fee per enrollee. I've never had somebody come and say, "Hey, we'll run a free clinic for you," because this town also has myriads of youth sports leagues that are separate entity from the Parks and Recreation. I can't answer if they have had any of those individuals come. But I know that we've never really crisscrossed the sports leagues for the kids, with the city. So, and in my years at Park Rec, I've never had anybody approach me and say, "Hey, we'll run a clinic for free."
Free is that mythological creature, right?
So, I know that Park Rec has done for a couple of years, which went out very well. They had PE teachers from school when they were done with school for the year. They would run an intercession type of camp, and it was all sports related, whether it was football, basketball, lacrosse, hockey, basketball. They just did a whole soccer, futsal, whatever. Tennis. They just ran little mini clinics for the week. So, I have never come across that.
Well, I guess I'll be visiting your office soon.
Oh, great.
That's all. Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome. Councilman Donovan?
Thank you, Chairman. Also, with the Grind, they have a new indoor pickleball court in front of that as well, so that might be something. The only reason why I knew that is because my son works there. But the only question I had was, so Rick, we're looking to hire 3 new jobs, 1 part-time and 2 full-time. 1 part-time being the marketing content specialist. The full-time would be the youth service coordinator. And
correct.
And the admin clerk. Did we talk about that before and I missed it? Or?
No, I don't know. I don't think we spoke about that before. No. I'll give you your freebie. That was a mistake in the budget. 62,571.
So the admin clerk is not.
No, as of this moment, I'm not sure that they need that, but I will clarify that with you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm all set.
So I thought that the admin secretary / energy assistant was the redundant position to the admin clerk, and did I get that right?
The human resource assistant one, I apologize, and the admin secretary energy assistants were the redundancies.
The assistant one and the secretary were redundant. The admin clerk is a separate position
Correct.
with different duties.
Correct.
And so the
I'll
admin
get
clerk
you.
is-
I don't want to speak out of turn on this one. I'm going to have to get you guys clarification on that one. I don't.
Okay.
I've got to speak with the mayor and David and make sure that that's not something that I just wasn't privy to. So.
Okay, and while you're at it, I did just a quick math on the human resource assistant one. It's off by $267, but it looks like, based on the backup, that instead of increasing the position by 6.5, it was reduced by 6.5. So I think the 23 number is the 66,894. You need to add to that.
Tomorrow I'll have a new human resources complete budget sent to all of you tomorrow.
Great, and yeah, and then just let us know if we have to make any
Yep.
adjustments to the bottom line to make sure this is clear next week.
Yeah. So yeah, there's another issue, actually with Diane's salary. It was budgeted at her current year's salary, not her last year's salary. So I know it doesn't look like in there, but that is what her current year salary is right now, 87,524. So we will send that tomorrow with the contractual, what this contractual salary is.
I'm sorry, say that?
Youth and Family Services Director.
Yep.
87,524. I think these were just taken off of, that was the F24 approved amount. 8185 was 23. I think it just got copied off the previous budgets and shifted over. So 87,524 is not
Is FY24 numbers?
FY24 number. So the correct salary should be approximately 91,000. But that'll be in your corrected budget tomorrow.
Okay, and if you could have
And if you need me to come back, Tuesday, if we need to discuss this again, if you have any other questions.
possibly Wednesday, because that's our deliberation night.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
fine.
open.
If you need me, I can be here for that. That's
Also, if you can make sure that Mr. Taylor can
David's-
let us know what adjustments we need to make by motion to get that right.
That'll be any other change. I will tell you, I will get you this budget by tomorrow.
Okay.
Any other changes that David has to make will be to you by the end of Tuesday.
No, my point was that when you give us the corrected HR budget,
Mhm.
if we need to, as a council, make any motions and take any action to correct it, because this is the document that we're going off of. If you're
Correct.
giving
So
us
yeah,
if we have to make
we'll
adjustments,
identify those for
right.
you.
So if we have to
Absolutely.
make adjustments.
Oh yes, 100%.
just-
I'll just give a little list at the bottom of it.
Give us a
Synopsis.
blueprint.
Synopsis.
Yep,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Once, twice. Thank you both so much for
I just
being
have
here.
One thing to say,
Yes.
I just in Alyssa's elderly services changing to senior services. Now that she says it's 55 and over, I'm completely for changing that to senior rather than elderly. So just want to make that known. Thank you.
So is Councilman Donovan. Thank you. All right, we're going to reconvene on Tuesday, April 30th at 6 o'clock, and we are in recess at 7:54.